Hoka One One. Little bit of Manilow there for you. I think Hoka should consider getting Barry Manilow to do a special version of his song Copacabana for any forthcoming running shoe releases that they've got. Or not, perhaps. That's a terrible idea. Hey guys, EDDBUD here, and today I've got an initial review for you of the Hoka One One Clifton 7. A 5mm drop with this one, heel to toe. A daily shoe here from Hoka. They're very keen to suggest that it's a daily shoe and nothing else. The Bird EVA midsole. And a weight of 298 grams in my UK size 11.5, US size 12. The insole in this shoe weighs 30 grams. 30 grams, that's a lot of weight. Is it needed though? We will discuss that later. I was keen to see how this fares on some easy paces today. It was a 60-mile week last week, and the old EDDBUD giraffe legs were pretty sapped of energy. Even an extensive amount of Chinese food last night and some fermented apple drinks weren't enough to bring me back. I wasn't that tired, I just was really hungry yesterday. I even had to cut down a tree this morning, so it was going to be nice manageable paces on today's run. I had the saw out. I actually took a whole tree down today. Really impressed and proud of myself. This one comes in at a price of 125 Earth credits. Though I would suggest the shoe states that it's a 30cm length in the 11.5. I know quite a lot of other manufacturers state a 30cm length in the size 11 UK. So just do bear that in mind in terms of sizing. I've gone up half a size really from my typical size 11. If you do go true to size as it were, you may end up a little short. Let's hit it on the upper first. I feel like I'm on QVC or something whenever I do that. That shopping channel. So, when initially placing my foot into the Clifton 7, I was a little alarmed as to the narrow nature of the upper. It was mainly around the initial eyelets here. The upper felt a tad constrictive. I was dazed, I was confused. I didn't know what was going on. Though the shoe length was spot on. Once I started running though in the Clifton 7, that fog of confusion drifted away and the upper of the shoe began to give a little bit after around 2 or 3 miles. I've got a relatively narrow foot, guys, and I wonder how people with wider feet than me would get on with this shoe. Do they do wider fits in the Hoka shoes? I'm not sure. So do bear that in mind. Beware. Beware. Either way, no runners not required today in this one. The ride was comfortable without any real note. Great stability in the heel, laces are that slightly elasticated type. But they did the job, and in the UK's best efforts at warm weather, which was about 20 Celsius today, the upper was breathable enough. Reasonable padding in and around the heel, nothing too crazy. Quite a padded tongue though for comfort to take away some of the tension of those laces. I'm going to soak up a little moisture, might be a little bit too padded for some people, but I didn't have a problem with it. The Clifton 7 and I got on really well in terms of the upper. The typical overlays that we tend to see on the eyelets and the strange front lace loop. I like it. Don't see that very often. Maybe helps to keep the toe box nice and taut and stop it from collapsing maybe. There's some slight gusseting on the tongue. It's very slight, only a few centimetres worth. When I showed this shoe to Mrs. EDDBUD earlier on, she was not very complimentary about its looks, but I happen to think that the profile's really nice. It's the last time I asked her whether a shoe looks good or not. She'll still voice her opinions though. I guess maybe we've got different taste in terms of shoes, but I think this one looks really nice. I am wondering whether this sort of elf pull tab thing is really required. Do we need all that? Could we not have just sort of trimmed it off there? Saved a bit of weight. I know Emily Heller was a little bit upset, you know, they got rid of the pull tab and given her this. She's not so keen on this, and I think I'd rather just have it levelled off. Though, shoe fits like a glove for me. I really enjoyed the miles today. So I think for its daily purpose, there's little to dislike here in the Clifton 7. Aside from perhaps the overly narrow upper that some people with a wider foot might have problems with, and this strange elf tab thing here that's just adding weight. For me, in terms of the upper on my initial run, I'm going to give it a 2.5 out of 3. Midsole now. It's only EVA here, but it's very cushioned once you start running. When ambling around the house waiting for my sadly depleted GoPro batteries to recharge. I was a little underwhelmed by the midsole feel. Just felt a little bit absent, a little bit clog-like. But the instant I started to run, I felt a pillow-like smooth squash, and a wry smile appeared on my face. I have to be honest, it was going to be a 3-mile easy run today, but I got back just under the hour after doing 7 miles. Not what I intended. It was warm out there as well. Even the lure of the leftover Chinese food and further fermented apple drinks were not enough to draw me back earlier. I was enjoying myself in the Clifton 7, and I think the Clifton 7 was enjoying me. Nice easy pace today, 8 minutes per mile, around about 5 minutes per kilometre average. So, ignoring the midsole material, just standard EVA here, was my experience good? Yes, I found a great cushioned underfoot feel at that recovery type pace of mine. Not sure we need that overly cushioned insole in there, but I can switch that one out with no trouble. I think I'm going to enjoy the Clifton for that sort of daily grind. I don't think it's one I'm going to be running any sort of PBs in anytime soon. As such, I'm going to give this a 2.6 out of 3 for the midsole. Only brought down a little bit by too thick an insole that they've put in. And I know in my mind that EVA does tend to crush down a little bit quicker than some of the newer midsole materials out there. Certainly not going to be an all-out speedster for me, but a plush Volvo it is. A real mile eater, this one. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Pac-Man, actually. Something about the yellow and something about this yellowy colour and the darker blue. It's like a Pac-Man screen. Eating the miles. That's what it's going to be to me. I name you Pac-Man. Outsole now. The Achilles heel a little bit of this shoe is the outsole. Like a Stone Age squirrel, I collected a number of rocks and small pieces of gravel on my run today. Over the 11.27 kilometres, those little rebels tried to hitch a ride in the exposed midsole material here. It's that same rubber and exposed midsole vibes that we saw on that surf shoe, the Rincon. And I did see very quick rubber wear on that shoe over the 100 miles. Yes, there's more rubber here in the Clifton 7, but I feel heavier runners, or those with a more harsh foot strike, will wear the Clifton rubber down quicker than I. It's grippy enough today on those dry surfaces. Dirt, pavement, no problem. Felt good on road, but grass, it didn't pass the test quite so well. So not an absolute deal breaker in terms of the outsole, but I think that quick aesthetic wear at least on the outsole of Hoka shoes at the moment really is putting some people off. You got to remember though guys, you know, that's what it's designed to do. These things aren't designed to be put into glass cases and stared at. They're designed to grind the road. Ow. Adidas, Saucony and Asics though are still the kings of outsole rubber. So for me, after my initial run in the Clifton 7, I'm going to give it a 2.3 out of 3 for outsole. It was alright on those easy paces today, but I think it's going to lack the traction and ground grip for higher paces. Value now. I picked these up for 110 Earth credits. So pretty much the same as the Pegasus 37, the Asics Nova Blast, the Beacon 3, SL20, guess it's a bit more than the Energy 2 from Reebok, but I'd suggest it's one of the better fitting uppers of all of those shoes. Certainly a better upper than the Pegasus 37. The upper here is more true to size than that in the Asics Nova Blast. Actually, I'd suggest that the Asics Nova Blast is more similar to this in a size 11 than this size 11.5. Perhaps similar in terms of the upper to the Beacon 3. I did enjoy that wide surface area here though, and I think a lot of runners will as well for a daily shoe. One where they can just grind out the miles, not be quite so worried about their foot strike. Aside from my reservations surrounding the rubber on the outsole, I think there's some fun times and good value to be had in the Clifton 7, and as such, I'm going to give this one a 2.5 out of 3 for value. So if I've added all those scores up correctly, that gives us a 9.9 out of 12 after my initial run in the Hoka One One Clifton 7. Gonna enjoy putting some more miles into this one. Have you picked up the Clifton 7 recently? What have been your opinions and thoughts on the shoe? Is it one perhaps you're gonna grab in the very near future? Let me know in the comments down below. You guys are wondering about the EDDBUD Strava group? I'll have news on that tomorrow And also the delayed live stream of what's going to do today will be happening on the Tuesday, a musical interlude. I've been listening to this great album from back in 1994 by the group The Divine Comedy. The album's called Promenade. I absolutely love the song, The Summer House. Really beautiful, sentimental song. Kind of reminds you about those summer days, those long, warm days where you perhaps take the train down to the beach when you're a young person hanging out with your friends. Very innocent sort of times. It just transports me back to my childhood, and it's a really beautiful song. I do recommend you check it out. I really love the singing style of Neil Hannon from The Divine Comedy. He's got this beautiful sort of baritone type voice. Very English sort of sounding voice as well. I really enjoy their songs. You'll probably know them from the National Express, a song all about buses. Anyway, go and check them out, The Divine Comedy. Thanks for sticking with us to the very end of the video, guys. I very much appreciate it. If you've enjoyed today's video and you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button and click the bell for notifications below of when new videos launch. It also helps the channel out a huge amount if you give this video a thumbs up like and share it with your running buddies. We just hit over 8,000 subscribers. I really can't quite believe it. Thanks to all of you tuning in every day and who have subscribed so far. Really is a fantastic community. Loads of comments and interesting opinions. I'm very much glad to be part of it. My name's EDDBUD, and I'll be seeing you